What's up, everybody? It is Chris Aiken from Aftershocks TV and the Classic Metal Show. And I just want to tell you that if you want to support any one of the shows, any one of the stations, anything that we're doing over here at the CMS network, then you need to be a subscriber over at Subscribestar. That's right. The website is on the bottom here, subscribestar.com/CMSPN. Just go over there, pick a tier that fits you, whether it's the $2, $5, or $7 tier. None of it's too expensive. We give you lots of bonus footage. We give you lots of advanced viewing, advanced listening. We go out of our way to make that our primary place for social interaction. So if you want to chat with us over there, that is the coolest place to do it. So sign up today, all right? CMSPN's very own Subscribestar. It's just like Patreon, 3 tiers. You get charged once a month. At the tier level that you want, you get all the goodies for that month. So check it out. It is subscribestar.com/CMSPN. Sign up today, please.
All right, well, here we are back with another episode of Aftershocks on AftershocksTV.com. And joining us on today's episode from Puerto Rico's Latin metal pioneers, Puya, we've got Ed with us here. Ed, man, what's going on? How you doing?
Yes, man. Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here, man. So happy to be, have the band back together and getting ready to go on the road and all that. So, yeah, stoked.
Yeah, awesome, man. Yeah, it's funny. When I saw the press release, man, I had to kind of do a double take, man, because I haven't, heard from you guys in a while. I didn't know if the band was still around or not. If you guys were still going to be putting out any music. But yeah, as we were just talking about before we came on here, man, Potencial, man, great song, real cool video too. And it's been a while since the original members too that you guys all have gotten together and released music. So I mean, what's I guess talk about a little bit about what got you guys all together again to start making new music again at this crazy time too during this whole pandemic.
Well, last year. There was some talk about getting the band back together. This was before pre-pandemic, right? And everybody was on board to do it. But at the time, Sergio, our singer, he didn't have the time to dedicate to the band at that moment. He was dealing with some personal stuff. I don't know, okay. So the band still wanted to move forward. So for a little while, we used we had a different singer that he was with us for maybe about a year. He recorded 2 songs with us, and he was actually the guy who went to Colombia with us February of last year. Okay. And he was good. I'm glad we did that. I think it could have worked. However, he changed the sound of the band in somewhat, because Sergio's vocal is really part of the sound that we have, and when you change such a primary part of the sound, it just changes the vibe a little bit, and it wasn't bad, but then shortly after that, we had contact with Sergio. We heard that he was doing well and he wanted to get back to singing. And one day our manager gave him a call, and then he's like, yes, 100% yes. So we brought him back, and that's how it all sort of came back together. Really, I feel that now the guys have a different attitude, and everybody's a little bit more mature, and I think it's the new songs are letting that show a little bit. You can hear the musicianship and just the quality of everything. It's just I think we took it to another level in this recording.
Yeah, no, and I was going to say, you guys are definitely one of those bands, I think, that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but, and I did listen to those, singles with the previous singer when Sergio wasn't there. And just as a fan, yeah, I agree. To me, it seems like because you guys are such a unique sounding band, if it's not, yourself, Sergio, Ramon, or Harold, it's going to completely change the whole dynamics, as you just mentioned, right? Yeah.
No, I agree, and I think the fans, you know, they noticed, and they let us know.
Yeah.
They know that, you know, they, you know, and you know, when it comes to the fans, you know, we gotta respect the fans with every ounce of our energy, because that's what's really what keeps this thing going. And you know, when they're right, you know.
Sure.
And they were, you know, as soon as I heard Sergio's voice back in the band, I was like, oh, of course, yes, of course,
Right.
you know, this is what needed to happen, you know.
Sure. Yeah. No doubt. Well, also, I mean, you guys got one hell of a studio team behind you as well on, you know, on the new tracks too. I mean, you've got Jared Pritchard, who's engineered and worked with, you know, extreme metal bands like Goat Whore and Exhumed. And then you've also got one of the best in the biz with this mixing and mastering. That's Zeus. I mean, he's as good as anyone in the biz. So, yeah. So talk a little bit about how you guys were able to assemble such a really awesome studio team that you got for this for new music.
Well, our manager, Alex, he lives in Orlando, Florida. And it's funny how we met Jared, because our manager, before being the band's manager, and I think he still does this on the side, but he's an insurance agent. And and Jared bought a policy from him one day.
Oh, wow.
And that's how they met, you know, and they sort of became friends, because they were seeing each other at least once a year, or a couple of times a year. And Alex knew that he had a studio and that he was doing this whole engineering thing, and he thought that maybe, you know, if we went back the road, we were going to use it maybe as a front of house or something like that. But then when this whole idea about recording a new album came up, Alex said, "Hey, why don't we call this guy Jared? That I've known him for 3 years now, and I know he does this, but we've never really worked with him or anything." So yeah, he gave him a call, and Jared was immediately on board. And through how was it that we met? I can't remember how we were put together with Suze. I think it might have been through Jared as well. Somebody gave Sue's contact to our manager, and we approached him by email, and he responded. It turns out that he knew about us, and he remembered, you know, the stuff that we did back a few years ago, and he was like, "Yeah, I want to do this." So
Awesome.
we got him to mix Potencial, and now we're gonna use him to mix the entire album, because everybody was just like blown away by his mix. So we were like, "Yeah, you know, this is the guy."
Sure.
And everything sort of fell into place. Kind of like you know, effortlessly this time. It was a very easy record to make. Everybody was in like good spirits, and the songs are good, you know. The material is great. So I think it had a very good flow, you know. The whole damn recording was great, you know. I can't say enough about it. The studio over there, where Jared works in Florida, is amazing. We did the recording on kind of like we did Fundamental back in the day. We did it on 2-inch tape, analog, and everything recorded live as a 3-piece band, bass, drums, and guitar, and then we added on percussion, vocals, and everything else, which is still kind of in the process. That we still have about maybe another month and a half worth of recording stuff, and then it's gonna go out to mix. Hopefully, we can have this thing out by, I don't know, August or something like that. Yeah.
Right.
Very cool.
Sure. I love that you say that you were you make it sound like you're surprised that Zeus had ever heard of you. It's not like you guys were like some tiny local band that played in front of 10 people twice.
Well, but it's sort of like it feels almost like we were touring in the 90s and early 2000s, and then our plane went into the Bermuda Triangle, and we just came out the other side, you know, like last year.
Right.
And it's like we haven't, but it's funny because we have the first days that we got together for rehearsing. Everything felt like not a day had gone by. Everything, everything sounded great. It was like everything's still the same. So it was. I was glad, to hear everything sounding so good. It's like, wow. It's like we didn't miss a day.
Right.
Oh yeah.
So then I take it, Ed, that it was not really hard to find the groove that you guys had previously. And the reason I'm asking that is because, yeah, one, you guys have been in different places for a while, and you had another singer for a while, and then you bring Sergio back, but also you've never probably recorded the way that you did this time with the whole pandemic thing and that people in different places and stuff.
Yes,
You
that was
almost have to-
definitely a first.
I'm guessing you probably had to not only relearn each other, but learn something new as to taking those ideas from the past and bringing them together now. No?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like Ramon was Potencial was one of Ramon's songs. He wrote that one, and I remember he sent me the demo on MP3, and I started going over it over here, and I was like, man, this song is really cool. We should really do it for real. I'm gonna find a studio to record the drums for this thing, and I went to a place here in Syracuse called Subcat. It's really really nice studio, and I did the drums, and I sent them back to Ramon. Ramon finished the guitars, then he sent it to Harold. Harold finished the bass. We were just sending it around. Everybody did their thing, and then it ended up in Sue's hands, and the rest is history. It sort of came together like that. It's crazy. But the flow, like you said, we that flow that we have, it was always there. We never, it just felt right. Everything, so it was sort of easy to do. When things are like that, it's just, it just works. Everything works.
Now, Ed, when I saw the press release, and I'm going to imagine that I'm like every other fan out here. When I saw that you guys were doing new music, first thing I did was pulled up Spotify and went right to Fundamental and listened to Fundamental again and listened to Union again, and then listened to the new song, to Potencial. The thing that is immediately noticeable is how much bigger the sound is now. Not that those records were bad. They weren't, obviously, but you really have such a much bigger sound now. What do you think? What do you think is the reason that the sound is so much bigger? And what do you think of listening to those old records versus what you hear now?
Well, maybe I mean, I think in particular, the guitar sound that we're getting now is like way superior than what we were getting in those, and those were good sounding records, but
Sure.
But I think the guitar sound is what part of what's making it huge this time, and even the bass sound, it's got like more low end. I don't know. It's got like it just makes everything bigger. In those first records, we were less experienced. We were in the hands of good producers and all of that, but a lot of decisions were being made for us, I don't know. Recording wise, and we were kind of new to the game, so we were kind of listening to these guys. Like these guys have all the experience in the world, and they've done great records, so we should really listen. And this time around, we didn't have that. We were kind of producing ourselves and calling all the shots by ourselves, and when the end result is when you do it like that, it's usually a better projection of who you are, because you were, it wasn't tempered with by other people, it was just what we wanted to do. We just put it down and that's it, and in terms of the sound, I always enjoy listening to those Fundamental and I think they're great records. It was the first time we ever did something with a major label in a big studio like that, and it was a great experience, and it's till this day, I think those records, like, you know, they sound like pretty damn good, you know,
Sure.
compared to things that are coming out now, you know. But
Absolutely.
yeah. A lot of people say that stylistically those records were ahead of their time. I don't know, you know, if I agree or not, but a lot of people say that. So maybe that's part of why maybe the band didn't blow up back then. You know, like the labels didn't know what to do with it. It was like too, you know, edgy. I guess, I don't know.
Well, I think what it is, you know, no, it's a good point you're making. I was going to ask you, you know, I mean, because like me personally, the first time I ever heard, you know, Latin music mixed with, you know, metal and hard rock like that was with you guys on Fundamental. And I think it's something that, especially back then, I don't think it was something that you would normally think someone would, you know, it would kind of go together. But when I heard you guys play, I'm like, wow, this sound really does like go together really nicely. And I was actually kind of surprised we didn't hear more of those bands. I mean, obviously El Nino was one of the bands, obviously, that, you know, kind of had a similar vibe to you guys. I know Mark Rizzo from Mark Rizzo from Soulfly. He has his own solo stuff where he mixes flamenco and metal together. Do you think maybe in general that, you know, back then, like the labels and critics and the press maybe sort of viewed you guys maybe more as something of a novelty type of band instead of being like a legit, really awesome band? Because I know in the 90s, especially here in the States, I mean, there was a big, you know, Latin pop explosion that was going on too. You know, you had Ricky Martin and Mark Anthony. They were all over the place. Yeah. So it was gaining, Latin music was kind of gaining a lot of steam back then. But like you said, I think a lot of it probably had to do is, like you said, labels didn't know what else to do with you guys because you guys were so unique. You still are, because it really isn't a sound that hasn't, you know, been adopted by, you know, a lot of other bands. So you guys still are pretty much, you know, in a way on your own in that regard.
Yeah, I guess,
you know?
and some people call it Latin metal or like, you know, they call it different names, but that's the thing. I don't think we fit 100% in any specific genre.
Yeah.
We have things that we do a little bit of blast. We do a little bit of just hard rock or groove, funk, Latin music. It's just like so many things, so many elements are involved that's what, you know, keeps us from fitting 100% in one specific genre, and so we can play with hardcore bands as well as punk bands and or Latin metal bands. You know, we sort of you know, we can slip through the cracks, you know, in any situation. You know, we've even played with Ruben Blades in a salsa concert at the Hollywood Bowl back in the day. I remember Ruben Blades and Willie Colon, like it was a salsa festival and we were invited to play. That was crazy, but yeah. So yeah, we've done it all.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, you mentioned something too about the labels before, you know, and you guys, you know, being on a major label, you were on MCA. You know, MCA has always been they've been that label that has been known for where a lot of, you know, metal or hard rock bands go to die, as they say. Meaning, like they get signed, they put out a record or two, but they don't do anything with the bands. They just kind of, you know, they put out a good product, but that's it. They don't know how to market it. They just kind of let them go out. What about? Did you guys feel like that happened sort of with you guys as well with them?
Well, I guess a little bit. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they could have done more. You know, I don't know. Not too long after we were no longer with them, they went belly up and the label disappeared. So I don't know how well they were doing. You know, during the time that we were with them, and maybe a lot of stuff that we didn't know about. You know, stuff that happening behind the scenes over there, but yeah, I guess, I mean, but at that point we didn't know. I mean, I guess we felt that we were gonna get more exposure going with a major label rather than trying to doing everything independently. We didn't really have that. I mean, we had a fan base, but it wasn't like a huge fan base to where like we could go independently and be successful. Like, as we needed that major label muscle in terms of like publicity and being out there in the media. And it did help a lot. Yes, I mean, you know, once we did Union. That was 2001. Shortly after that, everything, you know, came into a hard stop after the 9/11 events, you know, in New York, and all the tours got canceled, all the releases got canceled, everything got canceled indefinitely. So that's when everybody sort of went home, and that's when the hiatus really started, you know. And we came back like 9, 7, 8 years later, something like that, and to start doing like shows and but for like a good almost a decade we were in silence right after that.
And you know, it's interesting when you look back now. At the time, none of us understood it, but when you look back at it too, and I think it indirectly affected your band as well as so many others. That era, that 99, 2000, 2001 era, that was a time that the labels themselves were experimenting with a lot of different things and trying to figure out what would stick. I mean, if you think, I mean, there was your band, there was El Nino from the kind of the Latin side, but then there were bands of, you know, there were like the Stuck Mojos of the rap, the harder rap metal stuff, or the Head PE type of bands that didn't really fit anywhere, or, you know, or the like Mindless Self-Indulgent. Indulgence had a moment where they were in that weird thing, and then Dog Fashion Disco. There was all these bands that didn't fit into a specific. You guys weren't Korn, you weren't the Deftones. You know, it was like you guys were sort of different, and I think that unfortunately for you guys just got caught up in that vortex of the labels just not knowing what to do with you.
Yeah, and you know, we are. We are a product of the 80s. You know, we were that's when we were you know, teenagers and college, and we were like, and when I think you hear that, even though we have this mix of Latin music and metal, you can hear a lot of like old school type of riffs, stuff that you don't hear a lot in the new music that's coming out from the newer bands. It has taken like another direction, but we can, even in the new record, you will hear stuff that will remind you of stuff from back in the day, maybe early 90s, late 80s, like but modernized a little bit. It's just like a you know, like hints of that vibe that you hear in the songs. Even in Potencial, you can hear a lot of the you know, so and that's, you know, Ramon writes a lot of the stuff, and Harold as well, and you know, they you know, that's the decade that we come from, you know. So
sure. No doubt. Well, Ed, since you mentioned Potencial real quick, tell me a little bit about the video, because I got to give you guys credit where credit's due, considering that we've seen so many bad lockdown videos. This is an actual real video that's a lot of fun to watch, man. I just love the kid playing the guitar.
Thank you.
You know, the whole thing is great, man.
Well, that video was put together by Ramon's daughter, the guitar player.
Oh, wow.
His daughter, who's now, I think she's like 20 years old, 21, something like that, and she's getting into video editing, and she's going to school for it. As a matter of fact, she's just getting kind of started on that. This is like, I don't know, maybe the second or third video she's ever done, and we sort of felt that it was really special that she would do it, because she's kind of part of the family, and you know, evidently she's got talent for it. So we were like, why not? Yeah, let's let her. And I'm glad that we did it, because it came out pretty cool, I thought, you know, and she was happy with it. We were all happy with it. So yeah. But awesome. It was family made.
There you go.
Cool. Excellent. Yeah. Well, you know, one thing about you guys, Ed, man, with Puya, is you guys are, if anyone who's seen you live knows, you guys are just a really awesome live band. And if you're a fan of Puya, it's a must see for people to go see because, like I said, all the different styles you guys obviously incorporate in your music, as well as just the energy too you guys have in your shows. And speaking of live, like we were talking about before we started this, you've got some dates lined up in Florida with Dead by Wednesday in June. So go ahead and talk a bit about, I guess what's coming forward now for Puya. I mean, after you do those shows, are you guys, as you said, you're going to have a new record dropping hopefully in the summer. Are you guys going to, maybe want to go out and if you can, do some more touring?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
The drummer of Dead by Wednesday, he's our booking agent now for the U.S. dates, and because he has a booking agency, and Chris Lawrence, and he's gonna be booking our shows in all over the U.S. We're gonna do some stuff in South America as well because we had already booked some stuff that got canceled when the pandemic started. So a lot of those shows are being rebooked. So we're gonna go to Ecuador, Mexico, Peru, all those places. But with Chris, we're gonna be booking everything inside the U.S. And yes, we are as soon as all other states begin to open at full capacity, the venues that we're gonna start booking, across the states, and our plan is to go everywhere we can, of course. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. So one question, just more of a personal opinion. You guys have obviously, you've shared the stage with so many different, mega bands. Obviously an Ozfest with Slipknot. You toured with Iron Maiden. I know during the Ed Hunter tour, Red Hot Chili Peppers. Which tour or which just experience to you was the most, I'd say, memorable? One that really hits home that that you just tell everybody about that that you love out of all those.
Wow, there was a few. There was quite a few.
Yeah.
One of the ones, me personally, one of the more memorable ones was opening for Kiss.
Oh wow, you guys! I didn't know that. Wow.
And we opened for Kiss when they were doing the Psycho Circus tour.
Okay.
And this show was in Puerto Rico, so we opened for Kiss in our home, basically in our homeland. With our crowd, but in front of Kiss, and that was very, very special. I remember Gene Simmons coming into our dressing room like in full costume because they were about to go on stage, and we had already gotten off the stage, and he just came to congratulate us and having a great show, and he really enjoyed the set and all that, and we were like just floored, like wow.
Great.
Like he was like 8 feet tall. And that was very special. And like the first time we went to Colombia, we had never, I think the largest crowd we had played until that point was maybe like a 3,000 seater. And when we went to Colombia, we did the Rock al Parque festival, and we were the only unsigned band on that bill because we weren't even signed yet.
Wow.
And it was a soccer stadium with like 60,000 people. It was a free show. It was for the public. It was a free show. So we had never been in front of a crowd of that size, and now that left a mark definitely till this day.
Sure,
we talk about that show, like wow, that was amazing. There's been a few. Opening for the Chili Peppers was amazing. That was all the Latin American leg of Californication tour, and amazing. Chile, Argentina, Brazil, Mexico.
Awesome.
It was just Puya and the Peppers. Nobody else.
Wow.
Wow. That's great, man.
Yeah.
That's great. How was the Iron Maiden crowd for you guys? Because those guys, I've seen Maiden a bunch of times, and I've seen a lot of opening bands that have not done real well opening for Maiden.
Well, honestly, it wasn't so bad. I thought it was pretty good. You know who's tougher to open for?
Who's
Slayer.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Forget it. We have had to do that a few times, and that's a tough crowd. That's a tough crowd. They only want to hear Slayer, nobody else, you know. But with Maiden, not so much. We sort of won them over pretty good. I
Awesome.
thought, you know, yeah, it was good. And we were playing with Maiden. We did a lot of dates in Texas, San Antonio, places where there's like a big Latin population. So we pulled a little bit of that crowd too, and so it was okay. Yeah.
Awesome. That's
dude.
great.
I gotta know, man. You just try to remember this and be honest here. You're getting ready to go out on stage for Slayer. You've got everybody and their brother screaming Slayer. And then you guys come out and you know they don't like it at first. Most of them probably never heard a note of your music, but they're still like, boo, it's Slayer, you know.
No, I wish they were saying boo. All you heard was fuck you. Fuck you, get off the stage.
Dude, how do you walk out and do that, man? How do you how do you get yourselves together and go, you know what, guys, we're just gonna fucking do it?
That's it, man. That's it.
Yeah.
You gotta forget just block it out. Just do it. And you know, most times when that happens, if you just go out there and you don't give a shit and you just do it, and that people, you know, they get that energy from you, and you kind of turn it around a little bit, you know. You can win them over, you know, just by like just playing your best, you know. I remember a time when we were an unsigned band playing in the South Florida circuit. We got invited to play in a ranch for a bunch of skinheads, and we were singing in Spanish, you know, and these guys were like running around a big bonfire with like sticks and shooting guns in the air, and I'm like, holy shit, you know. And so I remember after doing that show, we packed up and left because those guys were getting wasted. We're like, we don't want to. We're gonna end up in that fire if we don't leave.
Yeah, right. You know? Wow. Oh man, that's crazy.
But they were moshing and having a good time while we were playing and throwing beer in the air and all. You know, like so. You know, it's like I think as long as you know stand behind what you do, that projects to whoever's, you know, in front of you, and that's what you got to do. You know,
right.
Sure. Yeah.
No doubt, man. Well, people are going to get their chance to see you guys do what you do. The new dates are coming from Puya in June, as well as new music is coming. And for people that can't wait for them, they can go right now to YouTube or wherever you watch videos and check out Potencial. It is the video there. So, Ed, where should we tell people to go to keep up with the band, to find out when their tour dates and all that good stuff?
Well, the best place to go is just the official website, puyaonline.com.
Okay.
And from there, you could there's links to all our social media sites, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever you prefer. You could click it off of there, or you could go to the YouTube channel, tour dates. You could buy tickets right on the website. You could buy shirts, hats. We have an online store, everything, puyaonline.com. Yes.
Very good. All right, Ed. Well, one more time, the new single is called Potencial. It is Puya. And Ed, thanks so much for joining us here on Aftershocks.
Thank you. My pleasure, guys. My pleasure.
Thanks a lot, Ed. Appreciate it, buddy. Thanks for listening to Aftershocks. For more episodes, go to our website at www.aftershockspodcast.com. Visit us on our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages for more news and information on the podcast. And be sure to subscribe, listen to, and review all episodes on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all other podcast platforms. For your music listening pleasure, visit our website or go to www.shockwavesradio.com. For all comments and questions, please email us at info@aftershockspodcast.com.
All right, everybody, another great interview right here on Aftershocks TV. And before we go, just want to remind you one more time, make sure you get over and subscribe to the CMS Podcast Network, CMSPN.com. You can watch, you can listen, you can subscribe to everything that we do. Not only us, but the classic metal shows, Shockwave Skull Sessions, Talk to Me. It's all there. One site. Get 4 great shows. Never have to do anything again but be entertained. So check it out. CMSPN.com, CMSPN.com, CMSPN.com. Until next time, folks.